Slap in the middle of rural France is a uniquely old-fashioned English Catholic boarding school. British boys are sent here for a traditional public school education at a knockdown price. What they get is passage into a medieval world.
It makes one think of The Lord of the Flies, as I hope it doesn't degenerate into that kind of scene when,
but you know,
when we have the Lord of Misrule this evening.
Look, there's bats. Hey, I wonder if they're vampire bats. It's like Hogwarts meets Colditz.
21st century life stops at the gates. TV, iPods and mobile phones are banned. It's a world of hunting, chivalry and tradition. The schools the tide forgot.
Come on, boys. Getting up, Tom. Come on, Daniel.
At Chevagna International College, the curriculum is hardly that of your average British school.
Quiet, please. Can we have quiet, please? I can't hear you.
Morris dancing, Gregorian chanting, and daily Latin Mass are compulsory. It's all part of Ferdy McDermott's mission to fight off the evils of the modern world by founding his own school in a village in northwest France.
It wasn't until I came here, turned this corner with a few of my friends, my father and an estate agent, and saw this, that I realized that it had to start here. A place with the worship of God at the heart of the school every day.
He ended up in France because he could find nowhere big enough or cheap enough in the UK.
I knew what I wanted to do to start a school for Catholic heroes. What I wanted was a place where boys and their teachers would live together, pray together, work together, study together. A sort of Eton before the Reformation, a school for saints, if you like.
Ferdy had no teaching experience beyond Sunday school and English as a foreign language. He's helped by a small band of staff who, for as little as £75 a week, are here for the vision, not the money. Fees are cheap. At £9,000 a year, only a third the level of the real Eton, which means financially the school is under extreme pressure. Ferdy's mother and father sold their Hampshire farm and have so far sunk £1.5 million into their son's dream. But the school's in trouble. Pupil numbers are falling and the building is crumbling. It's the eve of the new term.
There's my cat gun.
In King's Lynn, 11-year-old David Moberly, an existing pupil, and his 10-year-old brother Francis, a newborn, are packing the essentials.
Pea shooters, do you want one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's one for you, one for me.
Francis was recently mugged in his local park, and both were bullied at their former school.
They were desperately unhappy. David particularly was terribly unhappy where he was, and he's blissfully happy at Chevan.
You better take that. Woo!
When I first heard about Chevan, I absolutely loved the idea of just the adventure and a varied, rich education for my sons.
2 doors away, their 12-year-old friend Nathan Hopkin will also be a newborn.
Now, we'll let you have a try first. Wrong already.
Wrong already.
You just don't have a clue.
I've never done it before. Haven't. I've always had my mum and dad try and do it.
The local secondary modern school here has well over 1,000 pupils. Nathan's quite a wee little chap, and I think it'd be very easy for him to just get lost in there. I mean, seen and met the people at Chaban, I think Nathan will get a childhood there.
11-year-old Matthew Landels is also preparing to leave home for the first time.
This is my CD player that I can listen to on weekends. That's my main thing that I want to bring. And these are the photos of Evelyn and some of my brothers and sisters, and that's all the main things that I really care about that I'm packing.
It's his mother Helen who wants him to go to the school.
I have been on the lookout for and praying about somewhere to send him that would teach him traditional Catholic RE. I don't see myself as extreme. I dare say other people would think I was a bit extreme. I have 6 older children, and all of my children have gone to Catholic schools. And I must say that I found that the religious context of Catholic schools was very watered down.
Why do you wear the veil, Helen?
I wear the veil because it represents a bride of Christ.
But not all Catholics wear veils every time they go into a church.
They used to, but I believe it will come back. It's increasing in popularity, wearing the veil.
But it's a very ultra-traditional sort of thing to do.
I know, but people get used to it. Actually, when you've been in the habit of wearing it, you feel naked without it.
At Chivagna, final preparations. It's arrivals day for a new term and a new life in France. Boys are plunged straight into a world where everyone mucks in.
I'm trying to get this thing working. See?
Oh, yeah.
It's full.
Well, this Dalek's like separate and block a toilet.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Chivagna is a small community. The school needs 50 boys to break even, but this year it will be run at a loss. There are now just 30 pupils aged 10 to 16 to explore Ferdy's vast and antique domain.
Look at that. It's like Hogwarts. Oh my gosh. Look at it. How did they get in? Oh, there's like a moth. Where's it gone? There it is. It's over there. Hey, I wonder if they're vampire bats. That would be well cool. So like Hogwarts meets Colditz. There's the other one. It was still landed. There's 2 of them now. It's like a haunted mansion. The bats and the chandeliers. There's like wax dripping from them. I wonder if this place is one. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been sent here by your parents, you new boys. But I think also that you've been gathered. Somebody else had a role in your coming here too. And that somebody else, I believe, was God. Francis Moberly. You never tuck that shirt in. It's all right, you can do it later. Francis, I admit you to this college, uphold its traditions, bring honour to its name, and always do your best. Nathan Hopkin, I admit you to this college, uphold its traditions, bring honour to its name, and always do your best.
Yeah, I've written a letter.
What sort of letter?
Wrote, can I have more euros?
So you've already written a begging letter to your mum?
Yes.
But what about missing her? What about wanting to be at home?
Yeah, I
Not
will
just the
miss
money?
her, but just don't show it. You just don't want to show it or you get bullied.
How do you think you'll cope?
I don't know really, I just think I'll be fine after a while.
Does it help having David here?
Yeah, David came here and he was lonely, but I've got him now.
Dr. Tom Conlon is headmaster.
Nathan, can you get to the bed, please? It's imminent. Right side. Come on, David, get to bed, please.
My CD player. Oh no, it's brand new as well. Excuse me, can you switch the lights back on? Can you?
This school is a bit like a training camp for an army, and the colonel-in-chief of the army is Mary. And their devotion to Our Lady is sort of knightly, and they see themselves as knights in shining armour. So that part of it is to teach them to aspire to knightly virtues. Right, Nathan, you jump into bed now and come back, please.
I can hear that!
Perhaps we could just have quiet whispering now, please.
7:30 at Chevagna International College in France. Prayer and ritual are served for breakfast.
We give you thanks, Almighty God, for these and all thy benefits, so let us reign this world without end. Amen. May the souls of the
Free from the constraints of the national curriculum, school founder Ferdy McDermott has made up one of his own, including Gregorian chanting.
Now, Gregorian chant, it should be quite fast, it should flow, it shouldn't drag. Agnus Dei, repeat. Agnus Dei.
Pupils also study standard subjects towards British exams. New boys find quickly they're in a world built around old-fashioned Englishness and Catholicism, which is the only religion they're taught.
I don't know why we only learn about Christianity. Before I came here, the term that we were doing was about Islam, and we had to pray on our praying mats, and this is just all Christianity. We could at least learn about the other beliefs and how they came around and stuff. Because if we just learn about the same faith, then we're not exactly going to know how to cooperate with people when we're older, how they like believe and how you don't say things, because, yeah, so.
But there's quite a lot to learn about the Catholic faith.
There's quite a lot to learn about every faith, really.
There's no way that you can transmit to a child the enormous body of cultural knowledge that is necessary for a child to have to be strongly rooted in his culture if you also at the same time have to transmit to him 4 or 5 other cultures, or 10, or however many you want to choose.
It's not only Islam that's vetoed. At the end of every weekend, electronic equipment must be handed in to headmaster Tom Conlon.
Yes, John. Thank you, Matthew. What's these pink things?
They're not pink, they're red.
Yeah, but what are they?
They're headphones.
All right. Well, no, private listening is deprecated, as you know.
Why?
Matthew, we've been endless about private listening is deprecated. I explain it to all the parents. Private listening remains deprecated.
Why?
Off you go. Matthew, I'm just going to communicate the fact, not the reason.
Right. I just
the
don't
reason
understand.
I know you don't understand, Matthew. Some
What's
things.
the reason? There's no reason.
That's just a mini spy device.
A regulation,
my mobile
not
phone.
a debating society. Thank you. Matthew, off you go, please.
So I don't need to give you my shaver then?
No. I have what I call a frivolous question, Anthony, I think. This,
One of the most important things that the school can give to the boys is what it takes away from them in terms of the unwholesome influences that they might find, particularly in cities, but also just generally in youth culture in England.
Even when CDs and iPods are permitted at weekends, the school chaplain, Father Pilon, has issued diktats about the music boys can listen to.
Father Pilon said that I'm not allowed certain types of music, like because if it's like really hard, heavy beat, and I listen to my music quite loud, and I just listen to like R&B, hip hop, and I listen to Khalees and stuff. But I listen to all types of music. And then Father Pilon said, don't listen to the hard beat music because the Pope said that it makes you think like an animal. It's so weird, and it just doesn't. And he says you're not allowed to listen to any swearing, heavy metal rock. You're not allowed to listen to any like jumpy stuff because it makes you all hyper, like dun, 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 like really quick stuff. And I got a lot of that as well. So,
Mr. Gray, what do you want us to do with the fire?
Ferdy has created the culture of Chevania from scratch, out of the best bits of his own boyhood.
We're just going to play our game.
Today, it's catch the tail.
Big wuss.
Not fold it over, tuck it in. Let's go.
Rob, come on. The piece by the...
Very good. Right. Oh,
35-year-old Ferdy has never married and lives at the school with his mother, Joan.
This is a photograph of Ferdy on his first day at school. He had a very good education himself, and he went to a very good school. It was a Church of England school, and he was blissfully happy there. And he wants the same type of blissful happiness for the boys who come here.
Ferdy and Brother Moylan, the school's resident monk, are on a mission to recapture boyhood's lost traditions.
But I think boys just love things like that, you know.
Oh, they do.
You know, Boy Scouty things, you know, exciting, pageantry, history, how to fry a sausage or skin a rabbit or recite all the popes back to Peter or whatever, and you know, have a mnemonic for the verbs that take etra in the past or something like that. These little...
And now all the Melbourne Cup winners back to the year 1900.
Exactly, it's a kind of a sort of a train spotting thing that men just love.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, look at them.
Ferdy decides to give his pupils training in animal slaughter and food production. In rural France, live rabbits can be bought to be eaten.
Tête de hache, par exemple. We think that the religious truth that we teach in the school is real, but equally there wouldn't be much point teaching them all that religious truth without their being plugged into real life and real death. It seems to me that part of the process of discovering about real life is discovering where our food comes from.
But Ferdy's unorthodox cookery lesson is too much for fifth former Patrick Adams.
Yeah.
If you saw a chicken get killed, you really wouldn't want to eat it, would you?
But you know that all the animals that you eat
I know, but
were alive
if
once.
you know, you just see these walking about like that and looking happy, and
they won't be happy for much longer.
How much you want
if
for one?
went and bought rabbit in a supermarket, it would be fed on chemicals, kept in a cage, etc., etc.
Okay, how much do you want
These
for
little
one?
rabbits have been loved.
He's trying to buy it
How much
so
do you
then
want
get
for one?
freedom.
Oh, I've just bought them.
How much do you want for one?
I'm not selling them.
Why?
They're not for sale.
You can't, though.
Are you going to become a vegetarian
just don't
then?
watch them.
Yeah, man.
So I'm not sure these are sharp.
The rabbits are destined for Ferdy's own table, though some of the boys will be invited.
Look at them.
Stop him, they're getting attached to it. You should see. He's like patting it and...
Well, we better not give them names, then we get too attached to them.
How much do you want for one? How much do you want for one?
We'll wait till we kill it, then we'll weigh it, then we'll tell you.
Give me 20 euros for one. 20 euros.
But don't we need to do it over the table, John?
I didn't. I mean, the killing fish bit.
Get someone else.
You can't. So don't.
Oh, that's not break. Yes, it's knocked out though. It's knocked out. Knock it quick again before it wakes up. You need to stretch its neck like this. Now, ready? Go now. Yeah. Now get its throat.
But the killing doesn't go according to plan, and the rabbit regains consciousness.
So
over the bucket. Where's the bucket? Where's the bucket?
So how much do you want for the last one?
Where's the bucket?
So how much do you want for the other one?
Where's the bucket?
Hurry up.
Yeah, cool.
The twitching is just because there's still life left in the muscles, but if we're doing this again, you need to hit a bit harder.
Ferdy decides to kill the next rabbit himself.
Much, much harder. Ready? Right, that's it, that's much better. Got the hang of it now. See, that one didn't make any noise at all.
When they kept on hacking me back in the neck with the blunt axe, that started to horrible. When it started to scream, that was when that's really set me off, and it wasn't that nice.
Slaughter regulations in Europe say rabbits should be stunned with one blow to the back of the head and immediately have their throats cut.
Some people are going to say, was it appropriate to expose young boys to that level of trauma?
Trauma is a very strong word. Trauma describes long-term psychological damage. I think that probably it's inappropriate to hide from children everyday realities. Now, this is an everyday reality that somehow or other in modern life we're able to escape from.
Disgusted that there's something down there, and it was really hot. Just the feeling inside me was horrible, just to see something that didn't really need to be killed just get killed.
Are you going to skin it now? Yeah. Now? I want to see it.
Skin it now, because well, the animal's still warm, it comes off like a cardigan. You peel it off. It's the same with chickens, you don't even have to pluck them really, you can just peel it off.
No.
A rabbit doesn't view death in the same way as a human does. The rabbit doesn't, for instance, contemplate the abyss and think, what is there after this life?
What do you think the rabbit was thinking when it screamed?
That's an interesting question. I suppose the rabbit was acting instinctively.
The rabbit was staring into the abyss. The rabbit knew it was going to die.
Rabbits don't think like that. I mean, rabbits think where their next meal is coming from. They don't think, is there a God? Will I go to hell when I die? Will I meet other rabbits? One has to draw a kind of a distinction between Watership Down and real life. There is no great rabbit in the sky that welcomes all these rabbit souls. I certainly wouldn't want to be faced with all the chickens I've ever eaten and all the flies I've ever stamped on when I get to heaven. If I do.
Undeterred by the mixed reaction to the rabbit slaughter, Ferdy's determined to introduce his pupils to full-scale hunting.
So it must be up here somewhere. There's a dog barking. Is it that place there?
He and Brother Moylan are off to meet a local huntsman.
Oh, there's the kennels up there. Yeah, there's the kennels there. See? Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're not hunting dogs at all. Oh, that looks like a foxhound there, maybe. Vous m'appelez, comme ça j'aurai votre numéro.
Huntsman Monsieur Herbertot lives alone, apart from the housemates he's killed.
Ah, il y a le renard.
Un renard, il y a un blaireau, il y a un écureuil.
Oh, vous avez tout, là.
Hein, ça c'est moi, c'est ma maison. C'est moi qui l'ai fabriqué sur mesure.
He's made this himself to keep his cartridges. C'est très beau.
Ça s'appelle le griffon bossé.
Time for an introduction to Monsieur Herbertot's fearsome hunting pack.
It is a hunting dog, but it's dying out in the Vendée. They're 5 months old.
C'est le griffon bossé Vendée.
Oh, that's a beagle. Oh, that's it. Is it Anglais? Haha.
Monsieur Herbertot agrees to allow Ferdy and pupils to join him on a hunt. He brings the dogs to Chevagna to be blessed by Father Pilon and sprinkled with holy water.
Trop dur. J'ai pas. Lovely rustic dog smell. He doesn't pee on me.
Do you want to pee on my uniform? Give me an excuse not to wear it.
They smell really bad. Smell of urine. Sick.
Et a presentis vitae periculis eius meritis et intercessione liberemur per Christum Dominum nostrum.
Amen.
Au nom du Père, du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Amen. Allez dans la paix du Christ.
In past centuries, some British public schools have their own hunting packs.
Meeting Mr. Herbertot with his little beagle and these two Vendean griffins has got us thinking that really you can have a hunting pack of 2 or 3. Why not have a Chevagna International College hunting pack?
Ferdy?
Yeah?
What does he think the chances are of us actually catching anything?
The beagle seems to have gone its own way, and these ones aren't very old, so they might not be very good at finding things. So it seems that you can hear Rita barking, she's got something. But
That's the beagle?
That's the beagle. But because she's on her own, she might not be able to get it. If we're lucky, it might come this way. He was saying maybe a hare or perhaps a rabbit.
Rita the beagle fails to spill a single drop of rabbit blood. Just some of her own.
She just caught her ears on the brambles. So she was getting...
Allez, on rentre les chiens.
Oh! The other way now.
The youngest boys are being knocked into shape as the Chevania Morris dancing squad. Soon they'll perform in front of the entire school.
This is really bad.
Stop, please. I think we've just reduced that to chaos.
I want to run off now. I don't want to do... Seniors don't have to do this. It's just unbelievable. They should be doing it over there or something. With that woman, because she's not doing anything. She could be teaching them.
Too far.
It's just embarrassing.
Morris dancing is not just some boys hitting sticks and dancing around and jingling bells. There's something more to it than that. It's a mysterious way of bearing a tradition and communicating to the next generation.
Last year we had Mr. McDermott teaching us.
Oh yeah, he's so experienced, isn't he?
He took
go to choir practice after this.
Do we?
So boring. Yeah, it's choir practice after this. I don't want to do choir practice.
Okay, well thank you very much boys for the hard work you put into that. You need now to change back into your shoes and we'll see you in the chapel in 5 minutes for choir practice. We're all going to.
Oh no! I don't want to!
Six back, please.
Mass hasn't been said in Latin in most British Catholic churches for 40 years.
Domini nostrum dignus, ut resurrectum me, sed tantum hic verbo, senabitur anima.
Chevania has reinstated the tradition in the school chapel, but there's a small, concerted group of critics who believe Ferdy should practice an even older version of the Mass. One, with a colourful pseudonym, has been sending regular hate mail.
Another piece of hate mail, this time from St. Michael the Archangel. It's not his first. He thinks we're terribly liberal. I imagine he thinks the Pope's terribly liberal too. And it's not nice to get threats and hate mail from other Catholics. I presume he's a Catholic.
What do you mean threats?
Well, he says, I'm going to try and close your school down unless you stop celebrating the new Mass and go back to an older form of the Mass.
Well, who is he?
I don't know. Some nutcase.
But Ferdy's critics can't all be so easily dismissed. Last year, some parents withdrew their children from the school, citing poor teaching and exam prospects. Chevania has some teachers with degrees, but no teacher training qualifications, a practice increasingly rare in British private schools.
We've had some good results over the last few years, and we've had some mediocre results, but then again we've had a mixed intake. But part of the reasons why we've had some really excellent results, such as a boy last year getting a place at Oxford, was really that this very strong sense of common purpose was struck up between the boys and their teachers.
Staff at Chevania aren't here for the money. Headmaster Tom Conlon is a former engineer who's been drawn to teach at the school because of his faith.
Veni Sancti Spiritus Repletor and Corda Fidelium and Ignum Tuium Morris Accende. Mit Spiritum Tuium Crebunter. Right, sit down, boys. What does factor mean?
Is that like... Well, it starts from facio facere, isn't it?
Phil, it's a pretty simple question. What? Tempest, assuming pontificity. Right, what case is
He has the distinction of being perhaps the lowest paid British head teacher.
And that's a dumb answer. Insigne agrees with Tempest.
Because of the school's dire finances, he's on just £6,000 a year.
It is hard work here. I work 7 days a week at this. And I just think that this deserves to succeed, you know, despite its problems. So when people come out of the school, by God, they know they've been to a Catholic school. I mean, the ideal boy in this school knows his prayers in Latin, French, and English, and he feels completely Catholic, and that will stick with him.
In their home attached to the school, two of the founding teachers, Ruth and Robert Ashe, are also happy to be here for faith, not money.
How do you manage on whatever it is that you earn?
With difficulty. We do manage.
How much do you earn?
Well, it's about 900 euros.
So that's about what, 600 and something pounds?
Yeah, per month. Not a lot, but we get by really.
That's between the two of us.
Basically, we value doing something we believe in and enjoying what we do more than we do money.
What's the most important thing that a member of staff whom you employ has to have?
Faith. So probably even more important than being a good teacher, of course that's very important too, but even more important than being a good teacher, being, I won't even say a good Catholic, but a persevering Catholic.
Father Pilon is used to austerity. As a monk in Canada, he once lived as a hermit in his parents' shed.
Why do you wear this?
Why do I wear that? That is a symbol and a sign of my promise of chastity. This here is the sign and the symbol of my walking away from worldly things and worldly ways. This is a sign of my obedience to my superiors.
Right.
Kind of like a dog collar.
A dog collar.
And this here is a sign of my promise of chastity.
Ferdy also believes in chastity. He once tried to join the priesthood, but argued so much with the priest in charge of vocations, he was refused.
They said, we're convinced this man has a vocation to the priesthood, but we're not sure whether he has a vocation to the priesthood in this diocese. What they meant was, you know, maybe he can go somewhere else and not cause us any trouble, something like that, you know.
This is probably your vocation.
That's it. I think this is my vocation instead of the priesthood. What were we arguing about? Well, we were arguing about all sorts of very controversial things, like celibacy. He thought it made priests unhappy, and so I disagreed with him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been attracted to the priesthood if I thought I was signing up for a life of unhappiness.
In another departure from the national curriculum, Chevania avoids sex education. Instead, boys are taught the Catholic vision of purity.
What's the position regarding masturbation?
Well, we teach them the truth and we call them to purity. And the way we teach them the truth is that we teach them to aspire to marriage.
But so what are they supposed to do? Marriage is a long way off for some of these kids.
Yeah, masturbation isn't like food. You don't need to masturbate to live. This is a new idea that there's something that people have a kind of mechanical need to regularly exercise their sexual faculty. And yet sometimes they don't seem to think they need to exercise any other faculty.
I mean, what do you do? Do you practice abstinence, or what do you do? You're a single man.
Abstinence, yes. And that's what we would call them to. I would be surprised if the boys in the school were always victorious at every moment in their struggle for purity. But I know that they all are engaged in that struggle the same as we are. So, and what consoles me is that they are engaged in that struggle, and that's a struggle that they'll be within until you're cold in the grave, really.
There are lots of other rules Ferdy would like the boys to follow. Though 5 years into the school's existence, he and Tom still argue over how strict, or otherwise, the school should be.
Whether in Section F, under prohibited items, we need to look at that again.
Ferdy favours a cast iron book of rules to cover everything.
And I suppose the other thing is when you mention all these things like fireworks, knives, catapults, I mean, people only draft rules to control what has come into existence on the whole. I mean,
well, these are all things that we've had problems with in the past.
Well, as long as people don't spend too much time actually reading these things, it's...
Oh, Doctor, come on. You liberal.
No, you've got to believe in sort of natural...
Well, I've never heard of a voluntary community that lasts for more than 5 minutes. It doesn't have a clear set of rules.
Well, every family has... Yeah, no, we have rules. Every family has rules.
I had rules in my family, and we still do.
Well, I ran a family for 30 years, so don't preach to me about families. And, well, it's...
Ask Brother Moynihan. Brother Moynihan will tell you that there's a stage of development every boy goes through between about 11 and 14, where all they want to do is follow the rules.
Having a book of rules is one thing. Applying it is another.
Should you do the racing?
Put the cushion down, Matthew, put it down. Stand up first.
Next time we'll use a plank of wood. Nathan's the victim.
But there are some types of behaviour which simply cannot be ignored. A few weeks into term, Ferdy's school for saintliness is put to the test. Francis, at 10, the youngest of the new boys, is having difficulty settling in. Since being mugged shortly before coming to Chivagno, his behaviour has been erratic.
And today he got Gabriel and was smashing his head on the teacher's desk. That was quite horrific. No one can get away with behaving like that though, Dad. He had one of his stressy tantrums today in sport. We had a good hold on, we don't have enough balls. Anyway, yeah, I played dodgeball today and Francis was kicking the balls everywhere, so we had to stop early. He really annoys me. I cried on the phone to my mum just because, like, Francis, and she's like, what is it, Francis again? And I'm like, yeah. He has this thing where he gets loads and loads of coat hangers from all the wardrobe and just grabs them all and throws them at people, just goes around the dorm, she goes, woof, woof, woof. He thinks that he can do this stuff and get away with it, but he's just, like, so annoying.
I think it was mentioned that if he didn't start behaving himself that he would be expelled. Well, last year we thought, I mean, his brother David, we thought he was the limit, but this year it's Francis, and I mean, his brother's annoying, but he knows where the limit is. Francis just keeps going and going and going until somebody hits him, has a cry about it, and then carries on going.
Okay.
Francis has attacked Ferdy's mother with a ballpoint pen and Father Pilon with a ruler. Ruth Ash, head of junior school, is temporarily excluding him.
We began to simply feel that it wasn't safe for Francis or for the other boys or members of staff to keep him here in case something more drastic happened. We're very sorry to see him go, especially because in between these periods of extreme emotional and violent reaction, he could be a very, very lovely, sweet, even-tempered, pleasant boy. He's not got a black mark against his name, and we're hoping he'll be back.
We're going to take you to the memorial place.
The memorial place?
It's very unsafe because the cave round here, it's stone
full of monsters.
Together.
Scary.
Look, there. Big, isn't it?
Let's go in.
Oh yeah. Let's go and take you to the thing at the back. Should we?
Francis's father, Will Mobley, is here to take him home.
I'm obviously disappointed. I'm gutted. It's a horrific thing to have happened. It's not what we expected. But at least it did happen here. I mean, this is a school with a certain ethos, and they have tried to bear with him. And I think there are other places that he could have been where they would have eaten him alive. They would have just chucked him out, branded him for life. And they're saying as soon as it's sorted, they'll welcome him back. I don't think there's many schools that you could say that of.
But as one problem is solved, others are mounting.
very heavy rain, that there was water coming in through the window and getting onto the canvas. So as a damage limitation exercise, we wedged the painting away from the wall so that although we haven't stopped the source of the drips, the canvas is not getting wet anymore.
The crumbling school's going to need more than a temporary fix for its most fundamental problem, lack of money. Ferdy has a rescue plan, but it's one which could change the very nature of the school.
Well, that's good enough.
Come on! Roll him up!
Christmas is approaching, and a season of celebration kicks off with the traditional game of Wrap the Mummy.
So are we going to be able to put the orange in there? Nice big one. Try with the little one first. Oh, he's trying to bite me. That's right. Are there eyes in there, or have they been taken out?
I don't know.
We don't know. We'll have to look.
Ferdy's unearthed more ancient rituals.
An olive would
the
be good
pig's
for an
head
eye,
will
yeah.
be served to a boy
Let's
bishop,
try this
a
orange
pupil
here.
in charge of the school for the evening. It's an old Etonian Christmas tradition.
Oh, there we go.
scrapped
There's a nice
under
big orange. Look at
Elizabeth
that. It makes one think of the Lord of the Flies. The tradition of the boar's head is something... Oh, let's not put it in the nose. That's a bit vulgar, I think. Don't you? We want to see his nose. It's a nice nose. The boar's head was... That's better. The boar's head was traditionally the first dish in Roman banquets. And, you know, the pièce de résistance or something of Roman banquets. So we do it partly for a bit of fun and also to remind us where our sausages come from.
But behind the scenes, the decaying school is lurching towards financial meltdown.
This is my going on important missions hat.
Ferdy has a plan.
Is that the submission in your hand?
Yes, this is the letter for the inspector.
He's applying to the French state for money.
Right here.
The school could get £20,000 a year plus 3 full teaching salaries. But the money would come at a cost. The French government would have control over teaching and the curriculum. They could even force the school to teach sex education. As pupils prepare for the boy bishop ceremony, there's opposition to Ferdy's rescue plan from the school's own chaplain.
The minute we give to public funding of some sort or another, it's somewhat on the lines of suicide to the explicit character of the school, because we no longer have full say in what we're doing.
Do you think Ferdy would be selling out if he goes for that money?
I think that definitely in regards to the original idea of what the college was meant to be.
My dear friends in Christ, we gather here today to share in the ancient tradition of the boy bishop. On this day, in honor of the love and care that St. Nicholas showed the children, we raise up Dominic and give him the place, the highest place. Almighty and ever-living God, we ask
But beneath the surface, Ferdy himself is worried about taking the French state money.
What the state does is it just shifts the emphases a bit. You know, that's the way the devil works. The devil does not work by putting a big sign up saying, "Devil at work." All that happens is that tendencies, natural inclinations, you know, just work behind the scenes. I'm not expressing this very well.
Well, no, you are expressing it very interestingly. You're suggesting you're getting into bed with the devil by taking the state's money.
No, I'm suggesting that...
Here's what you just said.
I'm suggesting that probably the people who have ensured that these things are on the curriculum are not people with whom I would like to spend too much time. But
you'll take their money.
But I'll take their money.
There's an ongoing inconsistency in Ferdy. And
do you think the school would be better off without Ferdy?
I don't think it would be better off without him entirely, but I think that in the practical order of things, he would be better off not being involved in the daily life.
Oh. And it's cooked. So it was cooked last night. And this is like ham here, this bit here. You can eat the ears. The nose is quite good. In fact, the whole thing is edible.
But this is his game, this is his toy box, and you're suggesting he just relinquished.
Well, see, I think that's a problem. Now, in the history of the church, any founder of any great work steps down at some point, at least fairly early, after the work has been established, and he walks away.
It's time for the boy bishop to exercise his authority.
Just have a bit. Oh, could you start wash up in 5 minutes or so?
Yes.
Thank you.
Beware of the power of the curia.
Ferdy hears back from the French Education Department. They've turned down his application for money on the grounds that his curriculum isn't French enough.
When one thinks of something like this as a purely human enterprise, the weight of it is just too difficult to bear, really. But
are you certain that?
So what I'm saying is that when you take God out of the equation, which could, in a moment of doubt or something, then the whole thing does seem rather pointless.
The end of term finally arrives.
You've definitely grown.
Francis is back and his behaviour is improving. Matthew gets his wish. He was so naughty in rehearsals, he's being kicked out of the Morris dancing squad. And despite hemorrhaging cash, Ferdy's ambitious experiment to escape the modern world lives on.